Rising Tide Capital is a nonprofit organization based in Jersey City, New Jersey, that is transforming the lives of women, minorities, immigrants, and other traditionally marginalized populations through entrepreneurship. This is the story of Jersey City's rising tide entrepreneurs and the story of what works in building real prosperity locally.
There is something about the integrity of acting in good faith and making the things that you saw as being wrong and correcting them, and that little actions would amass into big things. My grandparents and my aunt raised me. I had a very distributed network of family that I loved, and I think it also gave me my sea legs probably and my entrepreneurial spirit. I kind of grew up with an appreciation of community that was at the core of my kind of daily existence. The late 70s, and I always joke and say I'm a 70s child, even though I was born at the very end of the decade, was a very tumultuous time. Specifically, I can say, at least in the case of Ethiopia, my mother, who had given birth to me, was young at the time, 19 years old, is out on the streets. Her older sister had gotten killed. So my mother had to make a choice. She could either stay or she could leave the country. And my grandparents, I give them a lot of credit. In the midst of that chaos, they were adamant that she needed to leave the country and pushed her and said, they'll take care of me, they'll figure it out. There's the saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. And yet, it's not lifting all boats. So if we agree that conceptually, sure, a rising tide can lift all boats, then how do we build boats that are inclusive of people, their visions, their dreams, and their aspirations for a place? Rising Tide Capital is an initiative that has been around for about 10 years, and what we do is we work with entrepreneurs who are starting and growing businesses predominantly in urban core neighborhoods, and work with them as they're activating their businesses from the beginning all the way until they're scaling and joining kind of the broader ecosystem of entrepreneurs that are part of community transformation. The number one thing that we're trying to accomplish is to seed the hope and the sustainability of communities that are really having a hard time, that are really struggling. We picked Jersey City, New Jersey, because here is this kind of mid-sized American city. There is a ton of development in what's called the Gold Coast, with magnificent views of New York City. And then you go and drive maybe not even 3 minutes, and you can see all of the kind of cranes in the sky and presumably signals of opportunity, and yet you have a community and a number of neighborhoods that are kind of trying to figure out what's their history, what's their legacy, what's their opportunity to connect to this wealth. I think part of what makes us a little different is that there is this intentional laser-like focus on trying to get a critical mass of entrepreneurs in particularly low-income urban areas who not only hold their business interests in their palm, but kind of this greater community interest in their palm as well. The new economy is hinged on the reality of having entrepreneurs that are going to be starting new kinds of businesses that are going to transform the ways in which we get our goods and services to meet our basic needs, but also steward the resources that we're responsible for. Part of the new economy movement and figuring out how this movement can be inclusive is essential. If we don't do that, we will miss a massive opportunity, and I actually don't even think the new economy could be possible without the kind of the grassroots entrepreneurial energy that's fueling it. If you're committed to action and you're coming from a place of authenticity, you don't have to have the resources. That commitment, that energy, if you can bring that to the table and if you can connect with people authentically, there are investors out there, whether they're philanthropists, whether they're, business investors. If people believe, they will do great things that you can't possibly anticipate.